how is it that you're actually looking when you're out and about on a normal Tuesday afternoon?
It's a choice. You can choose to, it's a perspective choice. And like the greatest thing a man can do is to choose a perspective that suits him and suits his desire of how he wants the world to look like. So we can look at women as being all, you know, muddled and confused and jaded and angry and vindictive. That's a choice we can have. Or we can have a choice to say that we can choose to try and find something default, beautiful in a person until they demonstrate that they're not. So it's a conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going to gaze upon this world. The women I'm going to meet today, I'm going to look at them as real beauties unless they demonstrate to me that they're not.
Welcome back. Hey, Zan, how are you doing?
Hey, good. Very good.
Gonna hit you with 3-4 questions today. 3 about your book, your old book, your last book, going all the way back into the opening chapter of the Alabaster Girl. And then something a bit more in the zeitgeist that is gaining traction and is part of the politicized debate between the genders at the moment. We'll come on to that in a second. But this, just checking what's going on outside in my garden. Okay. This comes in the context that my next weekend intensive that I'm teaching is about the phenomenology of perception.
Oh.
And I believe that attraction, seduction, getting to know another person is a great play of looking and being looked at, of seeing, of being seen, and the quality with which we regard another person opens up endless possibilities for us or closes it down. And I think you only need to listen to women talk about the different men that they encounter. There was something about the way he looked at me, just had me feel just deeply inside. There was something just ignited or became curious. Or anytime that guy stares at me, I just feel fear just shoot up my spine and I want to run away.
Okay.
Which we all which we all as men know, right? If you're out in a bar and some guy is looking at you, especially if he's bigger than you, and you catch his eyes and you look away and you look over and he's still staring at you, the fear goes up, like the hairs go on end and you want to run out of that. What is it about stares? What is it about the way of looking? So that's what we're going to go into a dive on. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions because for me, number one, I think this is 11 years after we recorded the first Alabaster Girl videos. So 12, 13 years after reading your book. I think the best thing that you wrote in your book is that women have a beauty song.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I might have asked you what you meant by that or how you got that a decade ago, but I'm curious if you're still hearing the song, if it still seems like a truth to you, and how do you interpret now that women have a beauty song?
Yeah, I mean, there's a poetic way of saying that beauty is an underpinning for all of our experience, which I'm firmly in the camp of. And so the idea that women have a beauty song, I mean, that's metaphorically that there's a musicality around the feminine spirit that harmonizes with the musicality of the masculine spirit. And I think that we're starved for that kind of harmonization. Harmonization. And I think that's still true. I mean, it's even more true today. We have we're polarized in different camps and ways of thinking and ideologies. And we've lost the idea of harmony, which I think the beauty song represents the way I presented it. I would stick with that.
How do you personally hear a woman's beauty song? Like, I just had a flash of you like listening to a caracol or
Well,
something like that. Like, you're going to hear the sound of a sea. Is there a way that you do this?
yeah, it's a choice. You can choose to. It's a perspective choice, and the the greatest thing a man can do is to choose a perspective that suits him and suits his desire of how he wants the world to look like. So we can look at women as being all, muddled and confused and jaded and angry and vindictive. That's a choice we can have. Or we can have a choice to say that, there's a lot of vindictive and angry women, just like there's a lot of vindictive and angry men. But we can choose to try and find something default, beautiful in a person until they demonstrate that they're not. I think, So it's a conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going to gaze upon this world. The women I'm going to meet today, I'm going to look at them as real beauties, unless they demonstrate to me that they're not. They're not nice people, or um, they're not productive to what I want to create. And when you have that default perspective, as opposed to the judgmental perspective of saying, okay, well, that girl's wearing little those clothes. I think she's a slut, or that girl is she looks like she's full of herself. We invent these things, You don't know. So you choose a perspective that says that she's a good person, a nice person, a sovereign person like you are and want to be. And you want to see that in her by choice until it's demonstrated it's not there. Same with men. Like, I wanted to see the best in men and shake a man's hand and say, okay, this is a good guy, until he demonstrates he's not a good guy. Then I cast him aside. I don't want to be around it. So something like that.
So, coming back to the phenomenology of it, the sensory experience, what it's like to be out
What
in
it's
the
like to
midst
be.
of the world and before a woman. Because you have to do your mundane life upkeep tasks like everybody else. The amount of times you've
Yeah.
texted in, "I can't make the call because I'm at immigration doing some tax filing," or like you have all the rest of the to-dos that the world has. Say you're out in a restaurant and there's a woman before you. Um, is it that you see her or gaze upon her in a particular way of depth, like you're asking, what's the song of this beauty here? Are you really looking at the physical kind of style and way she carries herself? Are you looking at brute hourglass measurements of fertility or whatever it is? Like
Evolutionary.
how is it? Right. How is it that you're actually looking when you're out and about on a normal Tuesday afternoon?
Well, I think it comes from the base fundamental um, representation of you. In other words, my base, the way I wander through this earth, is with my eyes full of wonder. I have a lot of wonderment and gratitude. So my base is, I come from a frame of gratitude because, and people can relate to this. There was a time when I didn't think that this was possible for me to be here viewing this girl in this coffee shop for whatever reason, right? And I've survived and I made it to here, and all my life experiences have brought me into this place, and here I am beholding this entity over here, and you have a lot of gratitude surrounding that. Like, so the gaze upon the beauty song of a woman in a coffee shop is not it's a collective of everything: the way she's shaped, the way she stands, the way she smiles, the way she rotates and moves, the fact that she exists, and the fact that you get to gaze upon it. That's a pretty damn good thing as far as I'm concerned. It's like I like it better when women are around. I feel it just, it suits me, you know? I like it that there exist women in this world, and it makes me smile because it comes from the base of, I had a lot of loss when I was young and a lot of disappointment, and there's redemption and gratitude, you know? So I think that gaze is not, okay, what can I get from her? Or how can I maximize my winning quotient with this woman or women in general, but rather that she exists and I get to observe it. I wrote a piece in the book I'm writing right now, just kind of a little sketch of a man in a cafe and what goes on through his mind as a woman walks through the door and the little bell ding, you know. And what does he do? And he's sitting there with his coffee spoon suspended above his cup, watching as she orders. She turns around to look at him. And I kind of wrote out this sketch scenario, and he doesn't have to chase her down. And she goes out, she gets her drink, her latte, and she goes out, and the door closes and the bell dings. But that was code complete. There was a harmonizing. There was a wholeness that came into that. He saw something, he appreciated it, he let it be known. He doesn't have to chase it down the street, and he can smile, and she's going to smile. So it all comes from the sense of gratitude that he gets to be in the presence of that until she proves she's not a nice person. The default is, I get to see this and I get to smile, and she's benevolent upon me with her feminine grace. She doesn't know it, but to me, it makes me, you know. So it comes from that. It comes from just the perspective of gratitude, because it could be another way. I say that a lot, but it's really how I move through a day. I have my health still. I get to do this. I get to stand here. I get to talk to Jordan on a podcast. It could be another way, and it's not. So that's where it comes from, I think.
Alongside gratitude, which is evident in every phase of your answer, the other quality that's happening is a complete sense of wholeness and fulfillment with the moment without it having to be any more. So
correct.
Without her having to give you something, come closer, open up, flirt back with you, or without you having to lead the interaction to any conclusion. Just the fact that she's there doing within your field of awareness being, and you are being in the same space, is already a complete scenario.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that's the basis. That is the underlying recurring idea under this archetype that we've examined, which is the Amorati archetype, which is this type of man who has a life-giving energy. And the recurring idea in all of his ways and being is that he's the moment is enough. He doesn't have to chase it down. He doesn't kick himself, look in the mirror and say, oh, I should have done this, I should have said that. That's why a woman can go home with him from a bar and have some drinks, and she changes her mind, and she was fully engaged and very positive that she's going to come home with him. And the moment he detects that she gets hesitant or pulls back a little bit, instead of trying to convince her or ply her with more drinks to get past her last minute resistance, he's gracious, and he lets her go with his hand, and says, I will get you home. I'll make sure you're safe. Take my bed, take my towel, I'll sleep on the couch. You're safe. I promise you get home safe. And it's good enough. There's something good in that. There's something good in that transaction. And somebody says, well, he didn't succeed. He didn't get laid. The transaction was complete because he gave and received. And I think it's the biggest perspective shift of men who walk through life with these eyes of abundance and secret knowledge that they are different than other men. They know it. They can feel it. Women can instantly smell it, instantly tell this guy's different. he gets out a free pass from, from everything. It's because they have this, it's good enough that I get to be in the presence here and I get to see this and I get to have this transaction with you. I don't have to chase it down. And the result is closer to home. Like, what is the result? You didn't get the phone number. You didn't get her Instagram. You didn't get a date with her. But the result is, did I show up and represent myself and say, hey, what's your name? I think you're pretty. I'd like to know you. And she says, I have a boyfriend. I'm engaged. I'm married. And we walk away thinking, well, man, if I was taller, maybe she wouldn't have said that. If I was more funny, if I said the wrong thing, I was stupid, And this Amorati archetype walks away thinking, I did something magnificent. She's magnificent. She felt it. It's good. It was honest and respectful. And so that's where it comes from. That recurring.
The moment is whole, the cycle is complete.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's, I mean, this is a topic for another episode, but it's remarkable to me that the complete acceptance that nothing more than the moment has to happen also fits in the same philosophy as the most direct willingness to be absolutely direct about your desires and your intentions.
100%.
So it's a nice paradox.
It's like that. That's why a man like this can go out into the evening, put on his cologne, select his shirt, straighten his tie, shine his shoes, head out and trying to meet somebody in the evening, right? Well, with his friend, for instance, and nothing happens. He meets nobody. He doesn't go in despondent. He goes, okay, my effort was sublime. I went into, I presented myself, nothing happened. And so he can smile and nod at himself in the mirror that he showed up. And so that's even that is the cycle's complete. It's something that he left nothing to chance. He took it upon himself to modulate his life, to create his own experience. Things didn't line up on the way he would hoped it would, but he doesn't go home and blame himself. Yeah.
What I was reflecting on what I liked so much about the Beauty song, because when I first read that, it was like impacted me really strongly. I think most of us, for most of our lives, are conditioned that women's beauty is visual, where it's physical and it's visually seen.
Well,
and
beauty
then
has that connotation. The definition of beauty, if you ask anybody, would be body culture. And so beauty is taken away from its transcendent form, the fundamental ideals of the ancient Greeks, and put into, okay, what is it? It's all appearance. Right? So we're reclaiming it back. That's our idea of restoring beauty, reclaiming it back to a transcendental idea as a universal.
The more trapped I feel within that sense of beauty is visual, the more I will look at beauty with more scrutiny and with more sense that I have to be able to see it with my eyes. But you use the word transcendent already. It's almost like when you say there's a beauty song, all of a sudden there's a beauty that I can't see. So how am I going to hear the song? How am I going to hear the beauty song? Well, I kind of press my ear against it and see if something comes, and it doesn't. But actually the beauty song is felt. So your poetic turn, I think, is actually very literal. And at the same time, it's a misnomer. If I can hear the song, it's because I can feel the song in here. And if I can feel the song in here, feeling inside if I can feel the song, all of a sudden you've given me a portal to the transcendent.
That's correct. Because beauty is not just a visual concept, which we think, eye of the beholder and all that. Remember, I was on a panel one time in the States, and with several people in the panel, and I was asked a question, and I said something. I was going on about something, and I said, the beauty of women is this, and the beauty of men is this. The essence of courage. I can't remember what I was saying, but I said the phrase, the beauty of men. And one of the panelists goes, well, I completely disagree with that, because I don't think men have beauty. They're handsome. You missed the whole point of the quality that we're talking about. Beauty is a metaphysical field. It's not just a visual thing. It's in my take of it, it's the purpose for the universe. Beauty is what we're called toward, and beauty can be in song. Beauty can be in visual. Beauty can be in experience. Beauty can be in your loved ones. Beauty can, all cliches, but beauty in the beauty is what we aspire to. Plato talked about the forms, and I think beauty is not an ideal, but beauty is the one common thing that we're all longing for. That's how I see it, and it's much different than body culture, the way we look, or appearance, which everyone immediately equates it to. Oh yeah, beauty. Okay, well, men are handsome, women are pretty. It's not that.
So in the next image in your book, after talking about the beauty song, I think you give a few pages on Emily, woman written in as Emily, and she is, I think, creating a bouquet of flowers. And you say something like that, there's nothing as beautiful as a woman intent on a task.
Yeah. And she was arranging the flower.
Yeah, could you unpack that a little bit? Because, and again, this is a kind of a truism. I sense many of us feel it. But again, when we talk about the beauty of women in a modeling, cosmetic, body culture sense, women are centerfolds, or women are before a camera having incredible proportions and so on. But you're saying something very different with this intent of a task.
There's a pinpoint in time when you're transfixed by the smallness of gesture. And what I wrote about there, I remember I wrote, she put her hair behind her ear like this as she's arranging the flowers, and she doesn't know that to someone like me, that is eminently an expression of beauty. It's a portal of beauty. She's a portal through which beauty comes to the earth. And that's how I see it. And there's in the banality of it, there's something that stops you in your tracks, and it becomes an expression of that. A phrase I just wrote, I wrote in the book I'm writing now is I'm talking about the way women walk and how it appears to us as men, and the rotation and the sublimity of the woman's walk. And the phrase I wrote is, a woman's walk is the oldest promise in the world. So it's all along the same lines as Emily arranging the flowers in the vase, there's just moments that stop your heart. And if you're aware, if you're attuned, if you're not attuned, then you're the 80% of guys that would read my book and say, I don't get it. What is this? What am I doing with this? Maybe 20% of guys read my book and say, okay, now I can relate to that. But that's okay. It's not a crowd pleaser. It's not for everybody. And I'm okay with that.
It's so funny you use the word promise, because I used that in a call in one of our guild's calls the other day. What is the promise of this woman that has you react like that?
Right. What's the potential?
Right. So what do you mean by that word promise? Because for me, it opens up so much.
Well, promise in that context to me would be, you're talking pretty philosophically here. It's a promise. And that's interesting. When the man's in the coffee shop and he sees the woman walk in and she orders a coffee, and he's just observing the stillness of her, and she walks out again. The promise in that for this man is that it's going to be okay, that exists. That's a promise from God, I think, That's how I would interpret that. That it's going to be okay. That all of your struggle and all your worries and all your trouble and all your deep-seated longing and loneliness, it's going to be okay. That exists. It's created for you.
The promises of God always seem sure when I'm with you. Speak that when you're drinking champagne under a tree somewhere in a park in the summer. Yeah,
That's funny.
I forget who wrote that. So intent on a task. That was the thing.
Yeah, because she's not consciously aware that she's not performing and she's not presenting and she's not displaying herself to you, when a lot of times women are, and a lot of times men are trying to posture and present. It's innocuous, and it's unconsciously that she's doing something that is affecting, that it represents beauty to you, and she doesn't even know it. You don't say anything. You just observe it, and you get to see this. She's intent on a task, and a woman intent on task is amazing. But she's bent over looking at something she's working on or something, and that you get to see that. That's pretty cool.
When her self-consciousness goes out the window for a few moments, then you get the full emanation of her beauty. A documentary that I gave to the guys recently is John Berger's Way of Seeing, which you may or may not have come across.
Documentary?
Yes. I mean, it's a book, and it's selling lots at the moment because of cultural debate. But he's given a critique of different ways of seeing, basically. And one of them
somewhere.
Yeah. It's based on a documentary. We'll link to the documentary. It's a 2-hour documentary film that's on YouTube, so we'll put it in the show notes. One of the distinctions that I love in that is he talks about naked or nakedness versus nudes, and the great tradition of nudes in art, right? So as a nude, you're actually self-aware and you put yourself as a body that has no subjectivity. But naked is you actually are not posing for any painter or any camera. You're caught with your secret subjectivity on display. So someone can actually see many more depths of you when you're naked. Which one of the things I ran across over the years was this question, like, what is more naked? Actually, to have our clothes taken off, typical one-night stand that happens really fast with alcohol, and what is more naked, that, or actually sharing the things that you're most deeply secretive or ashamed about in a conversation fully clothed?
Well, like my distinction of those two phrases, which are stark in my mind, which stand right out, is being nude is different than being plain naked, which I think that he might have said the same. I can't remember reading the book. I think I read part of it. But the idea is that naked is exposure. That's why pornography leaves us cold, because it's body parts that are interchangeable, and there's no other there. It's you can just swap out the body parts and you're good. You're still fine. You know what I mean? And it's reduced the body parts, and which is, and I'm not going on about, I'm not trying to be holy here or anything. Pornography is pornography, but that to me is the same difference from nudity, which is arranged somehow, and nakedness, which is just plain exposed. Something to that effect.
So you're saying Emily, who's arranging her flowers, completely unaware that she's being seen or looked upon from the other side of the room, she would be caught naked in a particular way because she's in motion, focused on a task. Whereas if you were to point the iPhone at her and say, Emily, I'm going to make you an Instagram story, or wherever it is, all of a sudden she might bristle and hold in a way to clamp down.
Yeah, I don't know if I characterize it like that completely. In other words, nude is artfully, consciously done.
Yeah, in Burge's distinction, nude is you stand in the middle of the room so a painter can paint you as being nude. And he's copying actually the form of your body, but probably missing your subjectivity. You're performing a naked object. Whereas naked is now actually something of the essence is really seen. The humanity of the person who is posing.
Oh, okay. I have a different take on it. Like, to me, the nakedness feels like it's the concept that I hear when I hear naked is like it's unwanted exposure and there's no protection. Where nude is a chosen or an artfully, and I'll read it more. I'll try and find this book and read it because I don't know, because I haven't really thought of it.
I like the avenue you're going down. I think some interesting things could be had of where you were going just there.
And the nude is just an artful display, and naked is a deep dive into psyche and being and awareness. And you might be right. Maybe I'm wrong. I have the opposite.
Yeah, as soon as you perform as a nude, you are performing and therefore holding yourself in a particular way that is nude. So the surface of the body is being seen. But naked, like you're saying, sometimes there are teacher that I had said there is intimacy has no informed consent. So if you're intimate with some actual experience, sometimes it happens all of a sudden. You don't actually choose all the things that you become intimate with. So if I'm caught naked, let's say, I'm getting changed in my room and the cleaner comes in or something like that. It's like, oh, I really didn't want that to happen, right? Close all the doors, close all the windows. The embarrassment and how kind of scorching that attention can be right away, that you've now been disrobed from a position or a persona that you once held has now been exposed. But there's something extremely exhilarating about nakedness as well, particularly if you're dating somebody. You want her to be revealed a bit more than she would like to be revealed because it's very alive.
Okay, Zan Perrian's definition from now on. Nude is you being displayed in your bikini. Naked is you being caught in your bra and underwear. It's a completely different reaction to the bikini, which is like exposing everything, and the your bra and panties, which is like you're freaking out now. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. You have to hide behind the shower curtain all of a sudden. I'm sure a lot of our long-term readers, listeners, are going to have thoughts about this. So feel free to share like what this has meant for you actually in your own kind of dating, relationships, and discovery of other people. There was one other phrase. So one of the phrases that you're very famous for, which I didn't resonate with for a long time, and it took many years until I started to build up a number of different understandings, is beauty needs a witness. I didn't the gravity of that phrase didn't land on me. And ever since, I think it's possibly the most enduring phrase in that it can mean a million different things. Yeah. Depending on, I was having this drive in my motorbike back from somewhere last week. I was like, beauty needs a witness could be interpreted like this. And the way the mind could go with that. So 2026, any new light that's been shed on that axiom of yours?
No, except that it's a deeper understanding in my mind that beauty is a calling. Beauty is calling us, and we listen to it or we don't. We turn toward it, our face toward it, or we turn our face away from it. And I think that, as I've been saying for quite a long time here now, I think, beauty is the way God reaches out to us. Beauty is our portal. And we listen to it and we're called, and in the contraction of our loneliness and our pain and our anxiety and our disappointment and our sadness, you hear this tinkling of beauty that calls you forth. And like I said, which is the promise that it's going to be okay. The world is broken and the world is really wrapped in destruction. and but it's also at the same time holy. If you look with certain eyes, you can, in perspectives. So I think beauty needs a witness. We partake in beauty. We participate in it. Beauty is not complete until we've shown up and participated in it. That's why beauty needs a witness. Beauty exists whether the whole thinking that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. In other words, this painting is beautiful to me just because of my upbringing and my political background, et cetera, where Jordan looks at the painting and sees nothing. I don't agree with that. I think that beauty exists independent of that painting or independent of Jordan or Zan. And I think beauty is something we latch onto or we align with or not. And when we're misaligned, we feel anxiety and pain. And alignment, beauty is a promise that it's going to be okay out through that dysfunction and trouble we're having. So it's, you look at what comforts people, what gives someone a ray of hope when there's no hope. And it could be the smile of a beloved reminding you of something. It could be a prayer that you feel was answered. It could be something you read, something that gives you hope in this hopeless existence we have, right? That to me is like the call of beauty, whatever form that takes. And we're longing for it. And when we don't feel it, we feel devoid. We feel lost. And a lot of people feel lost, especially this modern age, they feel really lost and unmoored and no hope for the future. And people have given up having children and all kinds of stuff because there's no hope. And I think the still small voice in the wilderness is beauty's call, which is, the Holy Spirit, I guess, reaching out to people. And I really think that that's where our redemption lies. That's where salvation is. If we can heed the call of beauty and turn our eyes toward it, no matter what, no matter how dismal the world is, it'll save us. It'll save us from our brokenness and our sadness.
I was speaking with some of the guildsmen recently about the muse, and we were recounting personal experiences we've had with women that have been muses or muse-like to us in all kinds of different ways. And so one of the guys asked me, what has it meant to you that you had some muses or muse-like women in your life? And the first associative answer that I could come out with is the fact that I've had some muses in my life has made me actually feel that I belong. And not only that, but that I want to belong to life, to living my life. And if I did not have muses at certain junctures along the way, I'm talking about real women, but I'm also talking sometimes about just an artist, like a singer or a pop star, or have some kind of infatuation with an actress who it's not really a crush, but it's just an inspiration. If it wasn't for certain muse figures in my life, would I want to continue existing? Like, what's the point? This is some of what we hear from some men. I've been in a desert so long, so dried up. What's the point in going further? I think this kind of beauty is the point.
Yeah, it's what we're longing for. And so the whole point of life, whole point of existence, and the reason I do what I do, and I try and write books about this, is because I think the whole point is to if you've seen that or you think you've seen it, to share it with others. Because what else is there? We're chasing illusions and dreams, and our illusions and dreams are shattered. All the things we attain and obtain don't fulfill us and don't make us happy. And so we chase more illusions and things. So I just think that conceptually beauty is like, I just repeating myself, just, but beauty is what we're called toward and what we're longing for. If we have a longing in our hearts at all, it's because we're not tuned with beauty. We're not aligned. You know?
For a number of years, that phrase "beauty needs a witness." For a number of years, I held a kind of spiritual tantric view that you would have God and goddess, and without God, you wouldn't have. Without awareness in the universe, in the cosmos, you wouldn't have energy. And I've been reading Freud over the last couple of weeks, and just starting to go in there. And he is talking about this is what I really want to understand: the moment in the formation of the ego, that there is a moment in the formation of the ego that there is a split, and there is a split of identification between exhibitionism and voyeurism, and that some of us want to be seen and some of us want to see. And so every peep show needs a pervert. Beauty needs a witness. And it's amazing. So this is what I want to understand for myself. When in the journey of, a child who has zero awareness, just unified with all black existence, starts becoming aware enough of being, that the child splinters off into having exhibitionist traits or traits that are more voyeuristic. And these are such loaded terms. Like most of the stuff from Freud has become incredibly loaded. But the voyeur, which is simply the desire to see, there's an implicit pleasure in seeing the movement of life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think particularly among men, we tend to be more on the voyeuristic side. I don't mean like looking through the shutters in the cupboard and trying to get a glimpse of your roommates getting off or something like that, but just like the desire to see, the sitting on the side of the street with your cappuccino or your glass of wine in the summer and just watching the girls go by, watching the women with summer dresses. This sense of, right,